All right, welcome back to another life update video. And I think to start this video, we're gonna pick it up with a recap about what's been going on at work. So yeah, man, I dropped my previous video, surviving a semester of college. And if I dropped that on a Monday, I believe at the time I was working Monday through Wednesday and then like a Saturday shift. But if I dropped it on a Monday, then Tuesday went by just fine. Wednesday comes and we messed up big time. So to explain what happened, I've already established that I'm a delivery driver as my current job. And I kind of made it through the early stages of training. I was driving a certain vehicle. They seen I could do well, so I guess I got moved up to another newer vehicle. And literally, like, the first time I'm driving this newer vehicle, we do some property damage. I make this turn into somebody's driveway and it was too narrow of a turn for like this big van that I'm driving. Basically, there's like a stone mount right here. The side of the van hits the stone mount, knocks it over, and there you have it. Your boy did some property damage. So once this incident occurs, yeah, we're crapping our pants a little bit, probably a lot of it. So yeah, I basically pop out the van. I see the damage that I did, not only to this big stone mount that has been like knocked over, and also to like the side of the van that is kind of have like a little, I'm not good with like car parts or anything, but I think it's like a side panel's kind of like ripped off damn near. So I basically went up to the house. It was like not the parents, but the daughter who answered the door. And at first I was like, damn, like it kind of sucks that I have to explain all this to her when I probably should be talking to like the homeowners. But like in hindsight, it was probably better to speak with her rather than the parents, because the parents probably would have lit my ass on fire. I finished the route and I got back to the station, clocked out, told my dispatcher basically, yeah, I think I'm gonna get fired. Shout out to him, shout out to Andrew. He did a great job of like calming me down. I, since that moment, was in a constant state of paranoia of at any moment they're gonna come up to me and then they're gonna clip me out the game. But long story short, I didn't get fired. However, I did get put in the doghouse for what felt like a while. I had just switched over from my school schedule to my summertime schedule, and that was the first week of me working 4 days. And when he had made the next week's following schedule, I noticed he dropped me down a day. So basically at this time, my role became a rescue, and it basically was do whatever the dispatchers say or go wherever they needed you to go to rescue whoever. So about like 2 to 3 weeks go by, and I go up to my boss and I'm like, yo, I'm really sorry for doing that property damage, honest mistake. Like, I really feel extremely guilty about the whole situation and like the position I find myself in. I always do, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I pride myself on being a hard worker. And to know that I wasn't in a real position where I could work hard or work the job that I at least signed up for, it really made me feel shitty. And no matter the shitty situation I was in, just being at this job, like since day one up until the property damage incident, and even since that incident up until now, this is where I want to be. So I decided, you know what, we're going to stick this out, we're going to rebuild our reputation, and we're going to channel that inner superstar that I always knew I was. On the day of him making the next week's schedule, I go up to him and I'm like, yo, actually I didn't give it a thought. I would actually like to go back to 4 days if possible. And just like that, he put me back on the schedule for 4 days. I think after I went up to him asking to be put back on the schedule for 4 days, if that happened on a Saturday, it was that Monday where I got my first route again. It wasn't in the newer van, but we're happy to have a route, point being. I'm gonna say about a week and a half, maybe like 5 shifts went by, and I got upgraded back to the newer van. I was at first hesitant to accept that they were willing to trust me again to drive the newer van. I kind of got in my own head, and I was worried that I would make a similar mistake just due to my inexperience and just self-consciousness getting in my own head about this whole property damage incident. So now that I'm back in the position of everything being, I guess you could say, back to normal, I've really just strived to continue that motto of me being a hard worker and being the GOAT. On any given shift, I can have up to maybe like 195 to 200 stops or houses to deliver to. And I'm the type of guy where I try to get this shit done as soon as possible. Like, I'm the driver that's running up to people's houses and running back to the van. Just a few stats that I have. I did 67 stops in 70 minutes before. I've done 52 stops in an hour. And then just for like a short little time crunch one, I've did 5 houses or 5 stops in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Me constantly running on the job is like really gotten me back into like a physical shape from like a cardio standpoint. This job just so far has been overall great. Now, there has been like a situation where I've came across maybe like 2 or 3 separate customers who thought I was doing a horrible job at my job and felt the need to say something. You get a couple people who you'll go down some streets, they'll just say, slow down out of nowhere, even though you're following the speed limits and you're being alert. There's like a closed off private property where you literally enter a code to get in there. I deliver to these like community once every shift, and there's maybe like 5 houses that are in this like private community area. There's like an entrance from this main road and then an exit and entrance from this main road. So on one of my shifts, the GPS basically told me to cut through this private community area to deliver to a house on this side of the road when I was on this side of like the other main road. So I basically cut through this like private area, and the guy at like the first house of the thing, I guess he sees me somehow, some way. I never saw him. I think he maybe was watching a camera or something. I don't know. Maybe this will make sense in a few moments. So basically I go through like the little like pathway to the other side of the gated community area. I get to the house and I make my delivery. So I run up to the house, I run back to the van, and as I run back to the van, I see that this guy is in front of the van with a golf cart. So I'm like, okay, hi, what's going on? And basically he's voicing his frustrations, basically saying I didn't deliver to anybody in the private community. He said I was speeding. He said I was gonna hit his kids one day. And then he ended off by calling me a effing prick. So how I handled this situation was I told him I wasn't speeding, and then I gave him my boss's number to dispute any claims or any complaints he had about me doing my job. And I tried to go about my day, but he wouldn't move. So him being in front of me, it was kind of like a driveway, a road, but then it kind of was like sloped on each side. I took and maybe made a bad decision, but I took the van and I kind of drove around him, and I was on like a 45-degree like angle, driving on like the slope to get around him, and I was on my way. I just assumed that for the one time they would be okay with me like cutting through here. And like this guy, I've talked to him, I've talked to his wife, like I've delivered to their houses like multiple times before this situation occurred. But I don't know, man, like people are unpredictable, and people are even more unpredictable when they're motivated by a shitty day. Other than that, that's like the biggest highlight so far. I'm sticking to the grind. I'm just trying to do my job and get in and get out. Like I said in my previous video, I do stand by and I do hope that this can be my job up until I phase into my career. But like honestly, like I've been having so much fun. Like if it's possible, like I would maybe even want to keep this job like 1 day a week for like the rest of my life or until I get tired of it. And this is kind of funny because my first job, Kroger, I always had that idea of, as time goes on, I can keep this job like 1 day a week, but I don't know. I think that's just a testimony to testify that I've just been having a lot of fun and I've really enjoyed making money for this job. So yeah, I think we can transition into one of summertime's best blessings, and that would be Big Brother! This has been one of the best seasons that I've ever watched like live in real time, and I've been watching since BB16. And for this time around, when I talk about my Big Brother enjoyment and fandom and what it means to me, I kind of want to walk through like week by week who was evicted and just give some brief thoughts on them. So week 1, Matt is a Prince Charming type of character, a pretty boy, a jock, an athlete. He's projected to be a comp beast, but the head of household who has the ability to nominate people to be put up for eviction, Angela, is like the older woman of the house. She just assumed him being like this good looking guy, he would get into a showmance with like some of the women in the house or whatever. So Angela put an early target on his back, and this was the beginning of his downfall to be evicted in week 1. Matt tried to clear the air with Angela, but this is why life is so interesting, because 2 people can exist and have the same conversation, but there can be 2 separate misunderstandings or takeaways from it. Angela felt threatened by Matt, and basically she was sleep deprived, and she woke up the next morning, came downstairs, literally clapping, and everybody begins to start like to join in clapping. But then she starts calling out Matt. And like the most iconic line from this call out was when she was talking about Matt and just going off about how he threatened her. She was like, "You threatened me with your crazy eyes. I'm talking about you, crazy eyes." Like, it was the friedest thing ever. And like, this was on day 5. The game hasn't just barely started. Like, nobody got evicted yet. And you got this woman like crashing out. But here's the thing. Angela is still in the game. Angela, like, today, like, is still in the game. She's not up for eviction. She's going to make it to the final 8. And Angela has her own character, and maybe one day we can talk about Angela being Angela. But Matt basically got dealt a bad hand and kind of was unlucky to start the game. And like, it's week 1, somebody has to go home, and his story was kind of unfortunate to go out like during those circumstances. Next, we have Lisa. Lisa was like a 30-year-old woman who was best well known for having edible glitter that she would put in other people's food, sometimes without them even asking or consenting. Lisa basically taught me to have self-awareness, and I would already describe myself as being like extremely self-aware. This is why I love Big Brother. You're always, or you get the opportunity to watch people 24/7, 7 days a week for maybe 80 to 100 days. So you get to analyze behaviors, and you get to analyze how someone's behavior might, you know, rub off wrong on like another person, and then that person might do or say something to put a target on that person's back, and then like the game of Big Brother is just so amazing. So Lisa's downfall was ultimately not being self-aware, and yeah, she got basically clipped out the game for being annoying. Now for the week 3 eviction, we have Kenny, and Kenny honestly is a quitter. Kenny wanted to quit the game from the time that Matt got put on the block. Honestly, there's no real respect for Kenny. There's 16 people amongst thousands and maybe even hundreds of thousands of people who apply, and for him to take up one of these 16 spots and to basically want to quit since week 1, you don't respect that. We don't like that. It wasn't a fun time to just experience this quitter go around the house basically asking to be voted out. So his time came at week 3, and they got him up the game, and we haven't missed him since. Next, we have Cedric. Cedric was somebody who was well insulated in like the big alliance that was controlling the game. T-Core and Chemo, who were on the bottom of the collective, which was like the big 8-person alliance, they got the opportunity on eviction night to where Cedric was on the block, who was in their big alliance, but he was also next to Rabina, who was T-Core and Chemo's like #1 ally outside of that alliance. So they were stuck in between a rock and a hard place of, do we stick with this alliance even though we're on the bottom, or do we basically blow up the game to keep our #1 ally who's not in this big alliance, thus turning our back on like 6 other people? They did that. They turned their back on the big alliance, and they kept Rabina, and they sniped out Cedric. So he volunteered to be put on the block, and basically at the end of the week he found himself still on the block, and that's why you don't volunteer to be a pawn, because pawns go home, and just like that, Cedric got sniped out the game. The alliance that was controlling the game now found themselves at the bottom. And Brooklyn was always somebody who was thriving at the top, but the moment the like script flipped and she got put on the bottom, oh yeah, like she like basically turned off everybody else from wanting to work with her. So Brooklyn definitely taught me that, you know, instead of feeling salty, if you're on the top and the script gets flipped to where you're now on the bottom, don't be salty. Just put in the work to do what you need to do until the script flips to where you're back on top again. And then next up, we have Tucker. And Tucker was, man, he was a superstar this season. Like, the game and, like, the season really revolved in, like, he was the heartbeat of this season. He was a competitor. He got sniped out the game, like, 6th, but I think he ended up winning, like, 6 competitions. Tucker also volunteered to be a pawn, but unlike Cedric, I guess he just had the balls and the confidence, and he could also back it up by winning competitions to get himself out of the predicaments of being voted out and evicted. So from like the timeline from like week 2, 3, 4, and 5, we kind of were in these loops of like Tucker putting himself up for jeopardy to be eliminated or to be voted out of the game, but through somehow, some way, Tucker would win safety, and like, oh my God, like the panic of, will Tucker get evicted? Oh my God, would then like dial out and like fizzle out like at the end of the week. So to kind of have those like highs and lows of like, will he, won't he get evicted? It was just like compelling TV to watch. However, unfortunately, when it comes to playing with fire, you're either gonna burn everything down or you're gonna flame out. And after a couple of weeks, at week 6, Tucker flamed out. Tucker was nominated for eviction by T-Core, who was working closely with Tucker at the time. I don't know why these people keep nominating people who they are close with. I'm somebody who like prefers lines to be drawn in the sand. So like if I was to ever play the game of Big Brother, I would put up the ops before I would put up the allies. So come eviction night, he finds himself on the block next to Angela. And Angela being like the social pariah of the house who nobody's really working with or nobody has like an active interest in like dealing with. Tucker sitting next to Angela was just so much more of a alarming highlighted threat to where this was probably the one opportunity that they would have in a long time to take him out. And the rest of the house basically flipped on T-Core, Chemo, and Rabina to snipe Tucker out the game. And then our last member before jury was Joseph. And Joseph basically was coasting. He kind of was at first in that big 8-person alliance, but he didn't really have a lot of one-on-one established connections. Joseph had an active strategy to like not win and to throw competitions, which can work for some people, but at a certain point he became too arrogant about it. And then his arrogance led to him being delusional about him thinking he had a more secure spot and position in the game than he actually did. So Quinn had won HOH and everybody had flipped on T-Core, Chemo, and Rabina to get Tucker out. And everybody who had flipped with Quinn to get Tucker out, because Quinn and Tucker were actually like, that was probably the rivalry of this pre-jury phase. So everybody that helped flip to get Tucker out with Quinn made a pact to not nominate them. So Quinn nominates Angela, Chemo, and Rabina. And Quinn is like, since week 1, he's been simping over this woman who has made it clear to him and has also went around the house like talking bad and trash about him to whoever will listen. So Leah wins the veto. She saves Angela. Quinn has to rename like a replacement nominee. And the only person he can nominate is Joseph, who was on the wrong side of the votes because Joseph was really aligned with Tucker and they were locked in to be a final 2. So Quinn nominates Joseph, who was also playing both sides between Quinn and Tucker, but Quinn and Joseph had like a final 2 like connection and relationship as well. Everybody who had flipped with Quinn had flipped against Quinn to get Joseph out the game. And there's an eviction tonight, and tonight's nominees are Quinn and Chemo, and it's looking like Quinn's probably gonna get sniped out the game. And this is so unfortunate because like not since BB20 have I like seen somebody pregame or preseason and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel confident about your chances to like win this game or at least like do really well. And Quinn had a hot start, and even like being caught up for having like 6 or 7 final 2s with everybody in the house or whatever, Quinn was always like finding a way to just re-ingratiate himself whenever he had like taken a few steps back. As time went on, his just simping and desire to want to flirt and just have attention from Leah, that has proven to truly be the downfall of his game. So Quinn, brother, if you're evicted tonight, you taught me never to simp over a woman who definitely isn't reciprocating that energy, man. It's just so unfortunate that, you know, maybe he'll be proud of this as his life goes on, but I just couldn't be in this position competing for $750,000, and of all reasons for me to get out the game or to be sniped out the game, it was just because I was too locked in and focused on a woman who had no interest in me. It just couldn't be me, but that's Quinn, I guess. So good luck to you, Quinn. When this season is wrapped up and finished, there definitely is potential for this season to be labeled as being the best Big Brother season of all time through 26 seasons of this show. That's just how compelling and entertaining and like the drama's been there, the gameplay's been there, the cast has been amazing, besides you, Kenny. And as I grow older and have less and less time to focus on the things that I like want to do and focus on the things that I need and have to do, this has just been such an amazing time to be a Big Brother fan and to live through this season just being fully invested and engaged about everything that's going on. All right, now, so we've established our job. We've established that we're really hooked for this Big Brother season. And I would say between work, Big Brother, the last big 3 is school. And yes, I have successfully returned to college for my 3rd semester. Now, this school stuff is kind of a lot, and as the semester goes on, has potential to really put your boy in like a stress hole. And you know, I didn't sign up for anything I couldn't handle. Even if it is a difficult or hard challenge, I feel confident that I will get through the semester. But yeah, we kind of have a heavy class load. We have 3 in-person classes all on the same days. Those classes being visual storytelling, which basically will give me a lot of experience using like DSLR cameras and just telling stories through photography. Another class that I have would be TV production 2, and that's with Rob Thomas. And each semester I've always had a class of Rob, so throughout my education, he's always just been a continuing voice just teaching me. And as one of my like social and behavioral like electives, I have like general psychology, and I'm always like fascinated just by the topic of psychology. Human behavior and why we think and say and do the things we do is just really, really compelling to me. And my fourth class is actually like an online class. Now, this class is required for me to graduate, and if it wasn't required, I definitely wouldn't be taking an online class because I'm not a fan of like taking courses online. But honestly, after these first few weeks of the semester, this online course is not that bad at all. Everything is pretty much straightforward. It's like you log on, you see the assignment, and you do the assignment, and you turn it in. And you basically have like a week to complete the workload. So, I found myself doing it like procrastinating like 3 hours before the deadline, or I found myself like doing it the next day after it was posted. Now, those are my 4 classes that I have like currently, but for the back half in the last 8 weeks of the semester, I'll actually have an introduction to industry and organization psychology. So the main focus is just really being locked into this school and work semester, and whenever I have time, we're just enjoying Big Brother whenever we can. All right. This is probably the difficult task of the video. I've given this a lot of thought, and I think the easiest path, and a lot of people probably would have chose this option, was to not say anything. And I've really weighed the pros and cons of like speaking out and up about this. I think I've decided that this is just my story, and no matter if it makes me look a certain way, being bad or negative, this is just my story, and I can't rewrite history for the life events that have occurred throughout my life. So yeah, we had some goons slide on James Icy in traffic. So from start to finish of this incident, I am not really good with distance, but think of like 5 football fields. Like start of this incident occurring to when it ends, 5 football fields. So I'm driving and I'm close to home within 5 minutes. So I'm about to make a right turn at a stoplight. And next thing I know, I just hear like a loud car kind of like making an intent to like get past everybody like in their way. So like at the same time where I'm about to turn, they're like passing by me. And I don't know if the term is like sideswipe or something, but like they basically, oh wait, I think that's like a direct like impact. We never made like direct impact with like our vehicles or anything, but like point being, I'm about to turn right, but like next thing you know, like this car is like flying down and like make the right turn as well. So when they make this right turn, like they cut me off and now they're in front of me. So when they do that, I honk the horn like nonstop. After maybe like 4 seconds go by, this guy in the back seat like sticks his head out and he's like sticking his body out the window, like waist up, like is out the window, and he's looking back at me like yelling or shouting like expletives or whatever. So like at that point, like they stop and I can now go around them. And like, honestly, I think they stopped and like, I thought they were gonna like turn into a gas station. But no, they don't go into a gas station. When I go around them, the driver then proceeds to follow me. And when I say follow, like, I'm talking about riding my ass. Like literally, like our cars are like this when like normal driving should probably be like this. He's like right up against me. So we probably passed like the first football field. And for the next like 2, 3, 4 football fields, I brake check them maybe like 4 times total to like back up, dude. Like all this space on the road, bro. Only me and you are on this road. Like, why are you right on my ass, dude? So I brake check them and we get through a stoplight, and now it's like we're in the last like football field like area here. So then they like have open traffic to where they can go around me. So then they speed up. When they speed up, the passenger side, like the window is down. I'm not gonna lie, like I like leaned back because like you never know in this day and age. Like I low-key was paranoid that like they were gonna either flex a gun at bare minimum or get the bus and no discussion at like, through my windshield or through my door or whatever. So like I lean back, but then like they throw a water bottle and it hits like my car or whatever. So now they're in front of me, and then I guess this is where strategically I should have chose a different route. So they pull up and they're first at a stop sign and I'm behind them because that's where I'm going. So when they pull up to the stop sign and I pull up behind them, the 2 dudes, like the driver and the dude in the back seat, they hop out the car. The driver then says, "What you trying to do then, N-word?" And like, I'm shocked. Like, holy shit, this is happening right now? So like, they're moving to the car with intent. And like, I guess my first instinct was I tried to put the car in reverse to back up once I seen they get out, but I ended up putting it in neutral, Thankfully, I didn't like mess around and put it in park because the doors would have unlocked. But the car's in neutral. I try to hit the gas to back up. I notice I'm not going anywhere. So then by time they're like basically right here at my car, I'm like, yo, like, nah. Like I freeze basically. Next thing you know, I was assaulted and punched in my eye. So like I'm driving, it was punched in this eye. I got punched in my lip to the point where I had like a busted lip. I like got punched in my like arm area, like right here. It was all like, if I'm driving, he was like punching me through the window and stuff. There was even a moment where he tried to like open the car door, but because the car was in neutral, like the door was locked. So he wasn't able to open the door, which coincidentally, this happened literally in front of a church. And I think God was on my side at the moment. Cause oh man, if I get pulled out that car, I'm probably getting stomped out. Like way worse than what happened. So yeah, he's also like reaching in and he's like grabbing my phone and like, your boy was more protective over his phone than like my own wife. And like, he like definitely like grabbed it and like I'm holding on to it. He lets go, punches me up a couple times, grabs it again. I'm still holding on to it. Basically, this probably lasts like total, like him punching me out, maybe up to 30 seconds. And in the moment, I kind of was just looking for this to stop. So the quickest way I knew how to do that was to basically tell him, yo, bro, like, I'm female cat. And when I say I'm female cat, his energy towards the punches, they start to decrease. He maybe, you know, gave a good 3-4 more. Honestly, like the punches were going so crazy. I saw 2 dudes leave the car, but the punches were going so wild. I think it was 1 dude punching me, but it felt like 2 people were punching me. So as he finishes and then walks away, he then tells me he has kids in the car and that he'll really kill me, N-word. Just like that. You could say it's paranoia. You could think it's thinking worst case scenario, but I truly do think my life flashed before my eyes. And a lot of things could have happened for that to go a lot worse than it did. So after he walks away, I'm just like, I remember kind of like my head was just like this. And then like I picked my head up like this, like as in shock, like, oh my God. So like I have this wallet piece and like, this is the first time I've ever walked off camera or whatever. I have this wallet piece that's like usually attached to the back of my like phone, which I'm using to record. And after that incident, I didn't see this at all. So I was like, fuck, damn, like through him grabbing my phone, he actually took like my wallet. So that is what led me to calling the cops and I made a police report. When I got home, the cops showed up to my house and I knew that there wasn't really nothing I could do. I didn't have like details or anything that was really noteworthy that would give them any leads or anything like that. So I basically just retold the situation. They were only at my house for like 2 minutes. They were on their way. And that's that. There's a couple people in my life, maybe, possibly, maybe these people don't exist, but there's a couple people in my life who I've encountered over the years or at one point in time to where they hear this story, they see the thumbnail, the title, and they're throwing a party. They're celebrating. They're going crazy at the projected downfall of James Icy. Up until this point, for the most part, I've not really been as confident with this life as I would like to be. And I oftentimes am a shell of myself. Through all the punches, I really do think that was the final domino that truly knocked some sense into me to stop living life so fearful. I'm just now at the point of being 23 on the verge of 24, just ready to live my life to the fullest. In real life, in the real world, I'm putting in the work to just boost my confidence, to just be more outgoing, and to just not hold back with how I feel anymore. So I'd like to welcome you all to the Ice Age. We're not holding back anymore. We're gonna start stating how we feel. It's only gonna get more blunt and brutal from here on out. We're gonna speak on these stories, whether they're good or bad or make me look a certain type of way. It's just my story. It's my life, and at times I kind of used to question the circumstances and just the factors that built me into being who I was today. I don't think I regret them. I think I just embraced them, and I truly, truly have just came to a place to just accept that this is my story. I am who I am, and I don't want to be anybody else. I'm fine with being James. I would say at one point in time in my life, maybe for like the first 20 something years, I was a glass half empty, but maybe over the past 2 years, I became a glass half full type of guy. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys in this video. If you've enjoyed this video, then please hit that like and subscribe button down below. I've been James Icy, encouraging you to be safe, and we'll see you next time. Peace!